While there's perhaps a province in which the photograph can tell us nothing more than what we see with our own eyes, there is another in which it proves to us how little our eyes permit us to see. Dorothea Lange. Dorothea Lange was one of the 20th century's defining photographers and paved the way for female photojournalists through her documentary portraiture in the first half of the 1900s. Lange's work depicted real-life situations, most often highlighting issues of poverty, and provided a more intimate look into the lives of everyday people in the United States. Lange got her start in photography after working in a photo studio in New York City in the 19-teens and eventually studied at Columbia University. After settling in San Francisco, she began photographing unemployed men on the streets. In these images, this one entitled White Angel Breadline, portrayed the desperate conditions of the unemployed men during this time. They were shot outside of a soup kitchen, and her focus on this one singular man praying in the midst of the chaos of the soup kitchen line reflects her desire to portray the reality of difficult situations rather than glossing over them. Perhaps the most moving part of this photograph is the way in which the man's hat covers his face, making him essentially unrecognizable and therefore making him a symbol for anyone experiencing similar circumstances during this time. Following the publishing of these photographs, Lange was hired by the Farm Securities Administration in 1935 to document the lives of migrant workers in the southwestern United States during the Great Depression, with the intention of bringing attention to the living conditions of these people. Lange fully immersed herself into her work during this time, living alongside these migrant workers and getting to know them personally. One of the most well-known photographs from this commission, Migrant Mother, has become one of the most recognizable American photographs of all time. It depicts a young mother, Florence Owens Thompson, and her children in a workers' camp in California. After meeting with Thompson, Lange said, "I saw and approached the hungry and desperate mother as if drawn by a magnet. I do not remember how I explained my presence or my camera to her, but I do remember she asked me no questions." This photograph became a symbol for thousands of workers and farmers affected by the Dust Bowl. Lange's immersive technique allowed her to capture the raw emotion of these workers and their families, an approach that has shaped the fields of documentary photography and photojournalism. Following the wide publishing of these photographs, Lange became one of the first women to be offered a Guggenheim Fellowship, and the first ever to be awarded one for photography in 1941. She continued her documentary work during World War II after being commissioned by the War Relocation Authority to capture images of Japanese Americans in wartime internment camps. Lange strongly opposed the internment of Japanese American citizens and expressed this sentiment through her photography. Many of the images she eventually captured were repressed by the US government until the end of the war. Lange continued to pursue documentary photography following the war and remained true to her passion for capturing real life and creating conversation through her photography. Until her death in 1965, she worked on a series capturing the hands, feet, and limbs of Indonesian dancers through image, and was sent to Ireland by Life magazine to take documentary images of small town people there. Of her documentary work, Lange best describes her passion for truth in this quote: "That the familiar world is often unsatisfactory cannot be denied, but it is not, for all that, one that we need abandon. We need not be seduced into evasion of it any more than we need be appalled by it into silence. Bad as it is, the world is potentially full of good photographs. But to be good, photographs have to be full of the world."